Yeah.
Yes.
57, right?
Yeah, 57.
So you'll see this from time to time with a lot of the shifted stuff, is that they'll give you one value that'll have an H or will have a K and the other one won't. It happens pretty often. So we do the same idea. We group them together with the X's and the Y's. Discussion came up yesterday or today in Flex about which one goes where. Remember, the subtracted one always is the second term. You might see this written sometimes as negative x squared plus 16 x squared and so on. It just means when you go to rewrite the problem, you put the positive value first. That's all. You do see that from time to time, just so you don't freak out. Okay? So group your x's first because they came first and they're positive. So you have 16x squared. Now I have minus y squared plus 16y, and I'll make that equal to 128. In the first group then, I have nothing to worry about. I'm just going to wind up with 16, it becomes x minus 0 quantity squared. Now the reason I write it as minus 0 is because there is no middle term. There's nothing to complete the square with. I don't have to worry about adding anything on when I complete the square because what's half of 0? Right. So, and I put that there as x minus 0 so I know my h is 0. It's just a reminder for myself. Okay. I do the same idea here, but when I go to group this out, I have to remember that my leading term coefficient is a negative 1, so I have to factor out that before I can complete the square. And that's what people forget. You're going to forget whenever that second term is negative, to factor out the negative 1 and change the sign to 16. So you get 128. Now, I don't have to worry about the first term because it'd be 16 times 0, but I have to remember to subtract out 1 times that guy. So you wind up with 16 x minus 0 quantity squared minus half of negative 16 is negative 8, so we're going to be at y minus 8. When I square it, I'm going to add 64 to both sides.
Yeah, b plus 8. Y plus 8 is good.
You guys didn't factor out the negative like I said to factor out the negative off before you complete the square. When you complete the... Hi!
Hi, Daddy.
Good to see you. All right, see you later. Whenever you complete the square, your first term has to be positive 1. In this case, it was not positive 1. It was negative 1.
I thought it was negative 61.
But we started it as positive. We factored out the negative to write it like this. So half of that is negative 8. That drops. When I square it, I get 64 to both sides. I took out the negative 1 here, so I had to put a negative 1 back. So it winds up just equaling 64. Divide it out. We wind up with x minus 0 quantity squared over 4 minus y minus 8 quantity squared over 64 equals 1. It's a hyperbola, x squared hyperbola, so that means it's going left and right.
What? Are you serious? It's going left and right?
X squared comes first. Remember, you guys, you have this. You shouldn't get that. You shouldn't get that wrong. When it says apps and you look at conics, and he says, "Oh, it's a hyperbola, and it's x squared comes first. Which way does it go?" No, no, no. It goes like that.
How did I get this then?
I don't know. So then you go from there. You wind up with an a squared value of 4. Yes.
Why is it equal to 64 and not 1 and 2?
Because I took out a negative 1 here, I got to put the negative 1 back in. And then your c squared is just 68. I'm going to go out on the limb and assume that graphing these, whether it's a hyperbola, ellipse, or any of those, tends to be tedious in nature. It's the setup part that takes a little bit more time. So if you don't, the worst part really then is walk your slope. Remember, whenever you're walking your slope, you're just going up and over, and then this is to be real nice. You have a center at 0 and 8, so you already know what your y-intercept is. So writing your equation pretty quick. The other ones, you just have to use the center for your separating point for a hyperbola. correct?
Can you go over the last?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that one next. Okay. That's why I was saying, I want to try and get as many of these setup ones as possible instead of worrying about the graphs right off the bat. Yeah, should do.
It's positive 8, right? It's 0 positive 8, right?
No, it's, oh yeah, your ordered pair. Did I say negative?
No,
Yeah.
I wrote negative because I'm.
Your center is going to be at 0 and 8.
Where's the vertex?
0, 8.
Is this a, what is
I
this?
smell fast food.
What even is this?
Math line.
Well, like, what does it make? Is it a?
It's hyperbola.
Okay, then why, okay.
The last one was 62.
Yeah.
I thought I was not.
And here's the one I was just talking about. See how the x squared is negative and it's written first?
I still love you.
Thank you. When you rewrite this, you put the y squared first with all the y values, and then you put the x squared last. So you have y squared, 4y squared minus 16y minus 9x squared minus 36x equals 164. Yeah.
What if the x squared and the y squared are both negative, then can you take the negative one out of the whole thing and then divide negative by 0?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever had one like that. I don't think I've ever seen one like that. But yes, that's exactly what you do. In this case here, you got to take the 4 out. You get y squared minus 4y plus blank. Take out the negative 9, so you get x squared plus 4 x plus blank equals 164. Oops. Plus 4 times something minus 9 times something else. You get 4 y minus 2 quantity squared, adding a 4 in, minus 9 x plus 2 quantity squared, adding another 4 in. Let's see. 4 times 4 is 16, 9 times 4 is more than this, 36, so it'll be 20, 144?
Yeah.
It's nice numbers, isn't it? So divide that out, I believe you wind up with y minus 2 quantity squared over 36 minus x plus 2 over 16, sorry, squared. It's 36 and 16, right? Okay. What's your center?
Negative 2.
Good, I'm glad you picked up on that. Y squared came first, so it's KH. You gotta make sure you rewrite it as HK for your center. Yes, sir?
Why is it 36?
4 over 144 is 36. Double 36 is 72, double that, you get 144.
Okay.
Okay. Yay! All right, you guys owe me hyperbolas. 10, 5, 10, 6 hyperbolas, yes.
5 and 10.
Yeah, just shift, non-shift hyperbolas. Send those 2 up, and then we'll talk about as many of those review ones as possible, as well as another style problem that I did not put on the review.
Mondays? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Was 619, 628. Shift, non-shift.
Wait, 619.
No, we're gonna go over that.
Hey, Mr. Murphy. Our next test is tomorrow.
Yep.
All right.
I'm recording all this, so you can go back and rewatch this to your little heart's content.
Yay!
Yay! All right, first up, we have x squared, y squared, minus 2x, minus 8y. Group them, send the constant back. X squared minus 2x plus blank, y squared minus 8y plus blank is negative 13 plus blank plus blank. I can do that right away because the leading term coefficients of the x squareds are both 1. You get x minus 1 quantity squared, so you add in 1. Shh, guys, I don't want to talk over everybody. Y minus 4 quantity squared, add the 16. So you get negative 13 plus 1 plus 16 equals 4. What is it?
Circle.
Circle, good. Circle the radius of? 2. Es muy importante. Remember the formula, x minus h quantity squared, y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. That was pretty funny. I spoke in my español. Es muy bueno.
No más, Papa.
Gracias.
No.
Número 2, es muy importante.
They got this all in video, so we're
Es el stepo número 1. That was bad, I get it. Moving stuff around, we get 4x squared. There's no secondary value for x, so I know my h value is going to be 0. So when I see that, I like to just write that in so I don't forget it. When I complete, I don't have to worry about completing the square on that side because the 4 is being multiplied by 0 has no bearing to the other side. Yes, ma'am?
If we don't write minus 0, we're going to get marked off.
No, not at all. I do that for myself because that way I don't forget what it is. Because if I just leave it as x squared, I might think the h value is 1.
Okay.
You
Sure.
ready?
Oh, are you planning on doing all the problems in this?
As much of them as I can get through.
All right. So can you go through them, like, can you go through them really fast and say which one's which? Because I have such a bad, like, if I can know which one's which, I can do it. But I have such an issue.
You have to be able to figure it out on your own. This is the whole way to setting those up to figure out what they are.
I've been right so far.
You have to be able to go through and by completing the square, it sets you up to know what it is. There is no other way of going about it other than going through a long process using the rules of discriminants, which is a pain. There's too many things to memorize for that. By doing the setup this way and doing the exact same thing over and over, it's going to fall into one of the categories. And it's the whole idea of being able to complete the square to do that. Yes, sir?
Is this the stuff that's going to manifest?
I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Like I said, I want to try and get through as much of this as possible. So I get 4 x minus 0 quantity squared plus 9. Half of negative 6 is negative 3 squared. I'm going to add 9 to both sides. So I wind up with 63 and 81, and lo and behold, it's nice and even, 144. I know it's not going to be a circle because I'm going to have fractions that are going to be different for a's and b's. Divide out by the 144. I think we just did this problem. X minus 0 over 36 plus y minus 3 over 16 equals 1. We just did this exact same problem, but it was a y minus 8, I think.
Isn't it y squared?
Oh, yes, thank you. Hey, I just grabbed the square there, all right? It's an ellipse. Which way is this shifted? It's shifted left and right. Remember, I'm going to have for you guys tomorrow the dumb calculators, but I will have for you, oh, there it is. I will have for you the formulas. It'll look exactly like what it does on your calculator in the Conic app. The dumb calculators do have a fraction bar. So it'll look just like that.
What language is that?
Same thing as on your calculator that I showed you earlier. It's the same thing. Yes, sir.
Use your calculator on the test.
The dumb one. If you guys happen to have that multi-view calculator from last year from geometry, bring it. I have like 27, which we should be okay because I might be able to steal a couple that I have lying around. I know you still have yours. You use it for your roots.
This one?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. We're getting there. All right, let's get another one. X. When you look at this one, a lot of times bells should be going off. When you have x squared minus y squared, it's probably going to wind up being a what? It's usually going to wind up being a hyperbola because you've got the subtraction. Yes, ma'am.
I know I'm a little late on this, but I was trying to redo the first problem to see if I messed
Why'd you write minus 1?
Because, oh, wow, that's really funny. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. So as you start that out, you move things around. Oh, thank you. I looked at that. Thank you. Start moving stuff around, complete the square. We're going to get x squared plus 4x. Guys, stop. You're just complaining that you don't know what to do. So stop talking with him. So your fault. So leave him alone.
all right, Mr. Murphy.
I got you.
Okay. I was gonna say.
And you were complaining about, oh, I need to do better on my test.
I know.
So make a better decision. I know I'm going to have to take out the negative to make this work because the leading term coefficient, when you complete the square, must be 1. So you take out the negative 1, you get y squared minus 8y plus blank. I didn't have to take anything out of the x squared, so it would be 13 plus blank. I took out a negative, so I have to put a negative 1 times something else. That's where most of you guys screw up. You forget about the negative there. Okay? You're going to forget about that. Don't. So you get x plus 2, square it, you get 4 here and here, minus y, half that's negative 4, square it, you get 16. So this winds up equaling 1. What's your a squared and what's your b squared in this case? 1. And in a hyperbola, that's perfectly fine if your a squared and your b squared values are both 1. All that's saying is that you wind up with a square as opposed to a rectangle. So your slopes wind up being 1. That's it. If your a and your b values are the same for a hyperbola, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just you get a square as opposed to a rectangle. Yes, ma'am.
So hyperbolas have the same on the bottom?
No, not necessarily. Hyperbolas have the subtraction between the two.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? All right, that's the only thing that's different with that one, that you could get that to work, and it's not a big deal. That is not a circle. Okay? It is not a circle because there's a subtraction symbol. All right? You've got an x minus h quantity, minus 0 quantity squared, plus y, half of 8 is 4, squared, I'm going to add 16, so I get negative 7 plus 16. So this is going to equal 9. What is it? It's a circle with a radius of 2, 3. The hyperbola. Had a lot of questions on a couple of the hyperbolas that were thrown on here because it's been a while since we've done a hyperbola. Not hyperbola, parabola, excuse me. Sorry, excuse me. It's been a while since we've done a parabola. A parabola should be the most easily identifiable conic that there is, no matter what form it's in, because only one of them is squared. Okay? Now, what's nice about the parabola is that obviously there's only one of them that's going to be squared. Also, the formula is really easy to work with. You wind up with, in this case it's x squared, so it has to be x minus h quantity squared equals 4p y minus k. So I need to make this look like that. So here's what I'm going to do. I want the quantity x minus h squared to wind up being positive. So I'm going to add the x squared and 12x to the other side. You get y minus 32 equals x squared plus 12x. There's other ways that some of you guys factor out the negative 1 and did everything else and divide it out. You get the same result. This is just easier because you're going to screw up with the negative.
Why couldn't you just move the 32 to the same side with x plus 12x and you just have a y equals?
Because it's not the equation. I can also say the answer is 7 and go to the next problem and I'm still not right. Complete the square. Half of 12 is 6, so you get x plus 6 squared. You're going to add 36 to both sides. So you wind up with y plus 4 equals that. I'm going to flip-flop them
Hold on.
because I can. What's the coefficient in front of the y? 1. So what do I have to factor out? 1. So you get x plus 6 quantity squared equals 1 times the y plus 4. The reason that I put the 1 there is so that way I know what to set equal to 4p. So 4p equals 1, so my p value is a 4. It's an x squared parabola with a positive p value. What direction does it go? Up like a cup. My center is going to be at -6, -4, and I have a p value equal to a 4. So it's going to be somewhere around here, okay? Your focus is the distance from the center, the p value from the center to the focus. I have to go up. If I'm up like a cup, which value am I changing, the x or the y coordinate? The y. So all I have to do is add a quarter to the -4. So the focus in this case would be at -6, -3 3/4. Just added a quarter. Directrix, I subtract. Yes, sir.
So why did you turn the y minus 32 into y plus 4 in that second step there?
I just switched sides. Because you know how we always write it out with the square term first? Because if y equals 7, doesn't 7 equal y?
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh, no. I mean, like, step right above. Like, why did you go from...
Here?
Yeah. Oh, okay,
Here?
wait, never mind. Yeah, okay. That's fine.
Directrix is the opposite of p, so all I'm going to do is going to be a y equals, because remember it's got to go, it's the equation of the line that would go through both of the hooks, if you will. So it's going to be a y equals -4 1/4. And is it okay to leave it like a mixed number, or even if you want to use a decimal for something like that, it's perfectly fine, because you're not really doing any work with it at all. You're just writing out an equation.
When you're drawing the parabola, do you want it like this, or can you just put a line and put it on?
When you draw the parabola, what I want you to do is you're going to walk out your tick marks, what your center is. Yeah, you'll do it. I was just doing a quick, just to remind you guys of where it was going. That's all. Yes, ma'am.
Wait, do you have to do the y intercept?
No, I'm not worried about that. I don't think we ever did that with the other ones, did we? I mean, they're easy, but I'm not really worried. When you take out you still have to take out the -1 out of this. You want to have y plus 4 then, and then you divide by -1. That's why I try to deal with positives. Sir.
So, for a circle, if both things, I don't know, both quantities, if like the number is a square, like a square, or it's a perfect square, then it could be a circle.
No. 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 A circle is x minus h quantity squared equals, plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared.
Yeah.
That's a circle.
Yeah, but like, how do you?
What you're worried about is what happens if this equals 1. These two values would have to be the same. Okay. If it's a circle, the denominators would have to be the same. That's why. Okay. Let's do. Subtraction between the two, it's probably going to wind up being a hyperbola. So we have 9x squared minus 36x minus y squared equals -27. I've seen a lot of people screw this one up also because of the negative. Take out the 9, we have x squared minus 4x plus blank minus y minus 0 quantity squared equals negative 27 plus 9 times something minus, well, 0.
Oh, snap, I said it.
You sound surprised.
No, I am, because I messed up the other one.
Adding 4. I think we did this one earlier too. You wind up equaling 9. Divide it out, you get this one over 1, this one over 9. And that's a pretty easy hyperbolic graph. A squared is 1, b squared is 9, c squared is 10. There's only so many of these that are out there that kind of work pseudo clean before you get to really, really, really bad things. What is 7?
A number.
It's a hyperbola. Yeah, now we got. Maybe, if I get time. This winds up being that hyperbola again, with a squared and b squared being the same. That's perfectly fine. It just means it's a square for the box that you make, which means your slope is going to be 1. That's all.
That one was easy.
Wait, so that, what is it?
Group them together. 9x squared, 18x, 25y squared, 100y equals $1.16. Take out the 9, x squared plus 2x plus blank. Take out the 25, y squared plus 4y plus blank. 116, add in the 9 times something and the 25 times something else. X plus 1, quantity squared, 9. I think you get 225 over there.
Yeah.
So you wind up with, well, it's convenient, 25, 9, 1. And from there, it's not terrible. Okay. This is an ellipse. Which way is it stretched? Left and right, because the a squared value is larger than b squared when it's an ellipse. Can you read it now? Ah! Ooh! Hey, look what number 9 is going to wind up being.
Parabola.
It's a parabola.
Nice.
It's an x squared parabola that already is positive, so we're going to leave the x squared on one side and move the y value and the constant the other way. So we get x squared plus 4x plus blank equals negative y minus 6 plus blank. X squared parabola is going to go up or down, depending upon the problem. Half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. We're going to add it up to both sides. We get x plus 2 quantity squared equals negative y minus 2. In order to figure out the value of p in this case, you have to factor out the leading term coefficient of y, which is negative 1. So you factor out a negative 1, we get y plus 2. I set that equal to 4p. P, therefore, is negative 1/4. Excuse me. Which way is this opening? You're thinking of the other problem. There's another one that had a p-value of 1/2. There's another one. There's another one that has a p-value that you got to take because you want to take it to 1/2. Right? Isn't there one? Did I help you with? I helped you with one.
Yeah, this is the one where
Oh, okay. There's one of them that has that. Okay. Same idea. This is be down like a frown, so your focus is always the other going away from the vertex. Directrix is going that way. It's like a ghost. The Cyclops ghost. Oh, hey, girls! Congratulations last night.
I killed a man last night.
Good for you. X squared minus 4x plus y, 16y squared minus 128y equals negative 244. X squared minus 4x plus 4, x minus 2 quantity squared, 16 out, y squared minus 36. Is it 8?
Yeah.
Thank you. So we get negative 244 plus 4 plus 2 plus 16. Oh, wait, I screwed up somewhere. 16 times 6 times 4. One of those numbers.
What?
I should not be doing it this fast.
No, that's
I appreciate it.
Oh, anyway, so we have 16. Half of that was negative 4.
Plus 16 times 16.
So 256. Oh, I was right. So it's negative 244 plus 4 plus 256. So it winds up equaling 16. I knew I was on the right track. Ish. And you wind up with an ellipse that's stretched left and right again. Yes, sir.
What day was it that you did the video on the times when like the coefficient won't divide out of the bottom?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I don't remember. I know you guys have all been worried about that. JC, let me get your question. What did you have?
Probably Friday. So that was in here.
16 times 16. I didn't write it out because we factored out the 4. We added the 4 in here for the blank. The other one is going to be plus 16 times something. 4 squared is 16, so we get 16 times the 16. So that's where I got the 256. It's the one time I skipped steps and everybody goes, "What did you do?" And okay. Questions have been coming up a lot, and I know we're running short here. What happens when you have this? This one doesn't work. You can't say that it's going to wind up being a circle because you've got that coefficient in front of the x squared. So you have to multiply everything by a factor of 1 to get rid of the 9 in front of the x squared. And it actually is a lot easier than you guys let off to be. What happens here is I'm going to multiply by 1/9 divided by 1/9. What's 1/9 divided by 1/9? 1. So if I multiply this by 1, and I multiply this by 1, and I multiply this by 1, do either of these two change? No. So you get y squared over 16 still equals 1. Here, what's 1/9 times 9? 1. 1/9 times 16.
So wait, do you just divide the bottom term by the coefficient then?
Usually.
Okay.
Wait, why are you saying you?
Yeah, what do you?
That's all it is.
Okay,
I'm writing this out in terms.
That's what I was totally confused about that.
It's a term of factor 1. Now, this would be an ellipse. It's stretched vertically because 16 is larger than 16 over 9, which means my a squared is 16, b squared is 16 over 9. So what's b? 4 over 3. So you're usually not going to get real crummy a's and b values if you do that, because more often than not, they're going to be perfect roots when you square root them.
Okay.
Yeah, Shaki.
Okay, for 14, you factor out the 2, right? Because you want to have, this one confuses me because I know it's a problem.
Yes, let me do 14, because I think this was one of the more complex problem one that we've done.
Okay, because does not make sense to me.
So I'm skipping ahead to 14. My x squared terms are positive, so I'm going to move the y and the constant the other way. So I get 2x squared plus 20x equals negative y minus 52. In order to complete the square, the very first thing I need to do is make sure my leading term coefficient is going to be positive 1. So I'm going to factor out the 2. I get x squared plus 10x plus blank equals negative y minus 52 plus 2 times blank. Okay. What's half of 10? What's 5 squared? So I'm going to add both sides. So I get 2 x plus 5 quantity squared equals negative y minus 2. Which means I need to divide everything by 2. So I'm going to wind up with the quantity x plus 5 squared equals negative 1/2 y minus 1. In order to identify what my value of p is, I have to factor out the leading term coefficient of y. In this case, p is, or excuse me, the leading term coefficient is negative 1/2. So I'm going to divide, factor out the negative 1/2. I get y plus 2. Okay? When you have to factor out a fraction, when you divide by a fraction, remember you're multiplying by its reciprocal. So you wind up with negative 2 times negative 1, I get positive 2. Or you press in your calculator, negative 1 divided by negative 1/2, and you still get positive 2. Okay? So you set that equal to 4p, and you wind up with negative 1/8. You can go off. Yes? Oh, okay. I know, I want to scoot to a different problem here real quick before we get too far. I hate this one. The other stuff that has it that wasn't on here are ones that look like this. On the website, what I did in the chapter 10 stuff, there's the review book. This is the chapter review and like the chapter test things. Makes me scroll. Sorry.
I hate it when it does that. There's no my computer too. You have to close out of it.
Stupid thing. Anyway. So if I scroll all the way to the last page here, winds up being page 645 in your book. There's this group of problems that I did not find any good review ones of. Those 8 or so problems are the ones where they give you the center and a vertex, center and a focus, things like that, and you write the equation off of it. Remember, when you're doing things like that in order to find the center, usually you're just getting the midpoint and then working your way out of that to find your value of A, find your value of B. I could not find any to save my life to put on the sheet you got yesterday. That's why I wanted to fly through as many of these as possible and let you guys go to this one. It's on the website. It's page 645. I will upload an image of the answers for that a little bit later on so you can check. Yes, sir? You have to know that. If I just give you vertices and co-vertices, you won't know what it is, which direction to go and find the values of C's and stuff like that, unless it was told to you that it's going to be a circle or an ellipse. Actually, you know what? You could do it if it's an ellipse or a hyperbola because it's further out. So you would be able to tell if you had if I said you have vertex here and focus here, then you'd know, okay, it's curving outward, which means it has to be a hyperbola. So I could do that. Hey, you did. It's a great idea. Yes, ma'am.
And on the ellipse, like x squared always
No, in an ellipse, the a squared. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. It's the a squared is the one that's larger.
So if a squared comes to this, then I'll be
Correct.
y squared.
Yep. Sir.
So you said none of the ones that you highlighted you couldn't find a good example with. Are you saying we should do those?
I would do those. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, approximately how many problems are on the test?
It's like 5 or 6. I don't remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, and then does it look like this, like a couple of those?
Probably. Probably. I I can pretty much guarantee there's going to be a shift in all of them. Yay. Yes, sir. It looks exactly like the comic picture in your book. I tell you. But that's exactly what it looks like. It looks exactly like the image that you see in your book.
We had a conversation about this.
I don't have one. That's what she said. I think I had one I accidentally just threw it out. Okay? Yeah, that's 645. That'd be a good chunk to look at because that was the only ones we didn't have a chance to. And I know that you guys have done them. They're not terrible. It's just remembering what a squared stands for, what b squared is, and things like that. Yeah. It should be on my desk in the yellow folder, I think, JC. Yes, ma'am.